He threw my suitcase on the driveway, smiled, and said, "You're replaceable." That's the last thing my husband, Ethan, said before driving away in his new black Mercedes. Just 2 hours earlier, we were celebrating his $500 million tech deal, the one I helped him build from nothing. I stood there barefoot on the pavement, watching the man I built an empire with toss me out like garbage. Before I continue, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because what happened in the next 24 hours turned his perfect life into his biggest regret. We met when he was broke, sleeping on a futon, chasing dreams that everyone laughed at, except me. I believed in him. I worked nights, paid rent, cooked, handled investors, and even coded part of the app that made him rich. But once the money came, so did the arrogance. He started calling me a distraction, saying I didn't fit the image of a billionaire's wife. So that night, when he told me to pack up and leave, I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I just looked at him, the man who thought I'd crumble without him, and said, "Be careful what you throw away, Ethan. Some things are worth more than money." He laughed then, but he wasn't laughing 24 hours later. I spent that night at a small motel on the edge of the city, staring at the ceiling while the glow from the neon sign blinked through the curtains. My hands were shaking, not from sadness, but from a calm, growing clarity. Ethan thought he destroyed me. What he didn't know was that the company he built, the one that earned him that $500 million, still had my fingerprints all over it. When we were first married, every deal, every document, every contract went through me. Ethan hated paperwork. I handled it all. He'd sign where I told him to, never reading the fine print. He thought it made him efficient. In reality, it made me powerful. By morning, my phone was filled with messages from his assistant, the same woman I once treated like a sister. "Ethan wants to meet," she said. "He needs to talk. It's urgent." I almost laughed. Urgent? Just 12 hours ago he told me I was a mistake. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into the secured company server, something I hadn't touched in months. I scrolled through the files, found what I needed, and smiled. The ownership agreement. I remembered drafting it myself during one of Ethan's "I'll sign whatever you say, babe" phases. 51%. That number had been sitting quietly in my name for years. I didn't want his money. I wanted my peace, but peace doesn't come easy when someone tries to erase you. Around noon, I drove downtown to the office, the glass tower that had once felt like home. As I stepped into the lobby, people stared. They all knew. Gossip travels faster than light in corporate buildings. A guard at the reception stopped me nervous. "Mrs. Stone," he said. "Mr. Stone asked that you not be allowed upstairs." I gave a small smile. "Oh, don't worry," I said. "He doesn't own this building anymore." Before he could respond, I handed him a folder, a legal notice already stamped and filed. Inside was a document that changed everything. Ethan's company wasn't just mine in name. It was mine in law. Upstairs, I could already picture him sitting in that corner office, smug, sipping his espresso, thinking he had it all. He had no idea that in less than an hour, his empire would crumble, and I wouldn't have to lift a single finger, because I already had. When I finally stepped off the elevator, Ethan's secretary froze mid-sentence. Her eyes darted between me and the closed glass door behind her. She started to say something, maybe an apology, maybe a warning, but I walked right past her. Ethan was inside, leaning over his desk, arguing with someone on the phone. The moment he saw me, his voice faltered. He hung up slowly, his face pale. "Brielle, I was just about to call you," he said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I didn't bother sitting down. I placed a thick file on his desk. "You should probably stop pretending," I said evenly. "The documents speak louder than your lies." He flipped the cover open, confusion spreading across his face as he skimmed through the pages. Shareholder agreements. Power of attorney, the fine print he never read. Every clause, every signature, perfectly legal. His eyes shot up. You can't do this. I built this company." I tilted my head. "You mean we built it? But the difference is, I protected it." He stood, voice rising. "I gave you everything." I let out a soft laugh. You gave me headaches and empty promises. I gave you a fortune. Silence filled the room. The weight of his realization sank in, that he had thrown out the only person who could have saved him. Finally, he said in a low voice, "What do you want, Brielle?" I walked to the window, looking out over the city skyline. "I want nothing from you, Ethan. But you're going to give everything back to the people you cheated, the employees you underpaid, the clients you lied to, the investors you conned. You'll sign those restitution papers and then you'll walk away." His jaw clenched. "And if I don't?" I turned, meeting his eyes. "Then the board gets everything. The emails, the shell accounts, the offshore ledgers. I have everything, Ethan. I made sure of it." For the first time, he looked small. The confident man who once owned the room now couldn't even look me in the eye. I picked up my purse and headed for the door. "Oh, and Ethan," I said without turning back, "next time you think about throwing someone away, make sure they don't have your empire tucked safely in their name." When I left the office, I didn't feel triumphant. Just free, the kind of freedom you only feel after years of silence finally break. But I didn't know yet. Ethan wasn't done. He had one more move left. That evening, the sky was heavy with rain, and the sound of thunder rolled like distant drums as I sat by my apartment window, sipping cold coffee. My phone buzzed again, this time not from Ethan's assistant, but from an unknown number. "Check your email," the message read. A chill ran down my spine. I opened my laptop hesitantly, and there it was, an anonymous folder link. Inside were photos, videos, and documents that made my stomach twist. Ethan had hired private investigators months ago. On me. Every meeting, every late-night call with clients, every bank transaction. He'd been building a case to destroy my credibility long before he threw me out. I clenched my jaw. He wanted to ruin me publicly now. Fine. I'd been through worse storms. Before I could react, my screen flickered with a video call request. It was Ethan. Against my better judgment, I answered. He looked different, tired, unshaven, desperate. "You think you've won?" he said, voice hoarse. "You don't know what you've started, Brielle. I can bury you with one click." I stared at him, calm. "You should have learned by now not to bluff with me." He smirked, then hit a button on his keyboard. My heart skipped. A video of me appeared on the screen, one from years ago when I'd been furious, shouting during a private meeting. He'd clearly edited it, making it look like I was threatening a client. "Imagine this on the news," he whispered. I took a slow breath and leaned forward. "You really never learned to read contracts, did you?" "What are you talking about?" "That video, the room, the company property, and every recording device in it, all registered under my name. Which means your little stunt is called corporate theft and digital tampering. A felony." His smirk faded. I continued, my voice steady but sharp. "I already sent copies of those investigator files to the compliance board and your investors. The same ones who thought you were a genius. They'll know who you really are by morning." He went silent. Rain tapped against the window as lightning lit up his face through the screen. For the first time, he wasn't angry. He was afraid. "You destroyed me," he whispered. I shook my head. "No, Ethan, you destroyed yourself. I just stopped covering for you." I ended the call before he could say another word. For a long time, I sat there, the storm outside echoing the one I'd just ended inside me. But deep down, I knew. Ethan wouldn't surrender quietly. He was the kind of man who'd rather burn the bridge than admit he was wrong. And if he wanted war, I was ready. The next morning, sunlight spilled across my desk, soft, calm, and golden, a contrast to the chaos of the night before. My phone was flooded with messages, but this time, none of them were threats. They were from Ethan's board members, investors, and even the media. Apparently, someone had leaked the entire truth. The financial fraud, the secret accounts, and his staged success. I didn't need to guess who. I'd made sure the right people saw the evidence at the right time. Within hours, Ethan's empire collapsed. His assets were frozen, his company suspended under federal investigation. The same people who once worshipped him now turned their backs faster than he could dial for help. And the best part? His $500 million fortune wasn't even his anymore. Half of it legally reverted to me through the divorce settlement he'd mocked. When I walked into the courtroom for the final hearing, he was already there, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow. For a moment, I saw the man I once loved, the man who promised forever but chose greed instead. He looked up, voice barely a whisper. "Rochelle, please, you don't understand. I need your help. They'll destroy me." I paused, the room so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "You destroyed yourself, Ethan," I said softly, sliding the final signed documents across the table. "All I did was give you back the mirror you refused to look into." He tried to reach for my hand, but I stepped away. "Goodbye, Ethan." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed me, cameras flashing, questions flying but I didn't stop. I just smiled, lifted my sunglasses, and whispered to myself, 24 hours ago, he threw me out like nothing. Now he's begging for mercy. As I walked toward my car, my assistant handed me a small envelope. Inside was the deed to our old house, transferred to my name that morning. I laughed quietly. It was poetic. I turned once more, looked at the city skyline, and said under my breath, "Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's calm, and it's final." Then I got in the car and drove away, leaving behind the man who once thought I'd never survive without him, and the life he never imagined I'd reclaim.